This bulletin proudly brought to you in association with Alex Campbell's Menswear.
Tonight on the South today, it's now compulsory to display QR codes in shops and meeting places throughout the country, but access to the signs is an issue. Two significant collections of work by New Zealand painter Colin McCann are to be displayed at Dunedin's Hocken Library. And researchers are discovering how big the problem of pesticide runoff is in southern streams. Kia ora, good evening, I'm Sophie Morris. From noon today, it is compulsory for businesses and organisations to display a COVID-19 QR code to make contact tracing easier. Those not displaying their code face $300 fines, and while anecdotally it seems compliance is high, the placement of the signs is making life tough for some people.
Rolling into the office, Disability Service Educator John Marrable scans into work for the day. While it's easy for him and other mobility vehicle users to register their QR codes on posters at this height, he says many businesses aren't taking wheelchair users into account.
So it means by the time I get there, get my phone out, unlock it, get the QR code up, then I can't reach the QR code if it's too high or might be stuck into a corner.
From noon today, it became a legal requirement for businesses and organisations to display COVID-19 tracking, QR or quick response codes. Earlier in the day, Marrable says there haven't been any directives about how accessible the posters need to be.
Unfortunately, no one's come out with regards saying the QR codes must be mounted in such and such. So that's where we'd look at the building code and the various legislations, and they normally suggest between 900 and 1200.
At this afternoon's media briefing, Dr Ashley Bloomfield says the public is doing well with increasing mask use and using the NZ COVID Tracer app, though he's asking businesses to be mindful and place QR code posters where everyone can reach them.
Just a plea to businesses, remember the QR code needs to be accessible to people who may be in wheelchairs, so please make sure that there is a code that is no higher than 130 centimetres above the ground.
John Marrable is asking people to be patient with these changes as we all get used to this new normal. He believes pinning them up about 1 metre to 1.5 metres high should suit people of all heights, along with maybe having a couple of posters people can scan.
I know at work we've got them 2 different heights, which is quite good, but a lot of businesses, they wouldn't have even thought about it. They've just been told they have to put this code up, so they're putting it up, and sometimes their displays may have so many different posters they're trying to find a space to put it.
The government legislation around displaying QR codes came into effect at noon, August the 19th. In Dunedin, the South today.
Extra COVID-19 testing sites are to reopen today in both Dunedin and Invercargill. This comes after the announcement on Sunday the community testing centres, such as the one in a warehouse near Dunedin's Forsyth Bus Stadium, were not going to reopen in the near future. However, they are now resuming operations to ensure there's convenient access to testing. The drive-through testing centres are not drop-in clinics, but supplement general practices. They are set to stay open for at least the next 2 weeks. People should still contact their GP first or call the COVID-19 virus hotline 0800 virus 19 to be referred for testing. The artworks of a celebrated New Zealand painter on display in the Hocken Library. The 2 exhibitions cover much of the output of the artist Colin McCann, who grew up in Dunedin.
An in-depth look at the works of New Zealand artist Colin McCann is now on display in Dunedin's Hocken Library building. Entitled Colin McCann, A Constant Flow of Light, the exhibition's curator Robin Notman says it looks at how the artist used light in his paintings.
So if you look at the early selection of works in this room, that they date from the 30s and 40s, when he was experimenting with different artistic styles. And then by the 1940s, you can see he develops a technique for incorporating light into his work, and also symbolically in the use of the lamp.
While the exhibition has some works loaned from elsewhere, most of the paintings are already in the Hocken collections, being housed in the town he grew up in.
He was born in Timaru, but basically was only there for a very short time. And he grew up in Dunedin and, was educated here and, painted his incredible peninsula landscapes and had his visions about his art here, and basically lived in Dunedin until the 40s.
Part of the gallery's space shows Colin McCann's illustration of a poem by New Zealand writer John Castleberg, who was a proponent of the arts.
From memory, I think the two men met in Christchurch originally, but certainly Castleberg was again a major collaborator with McCann in terms of the thinking about art and the life of the artist and the things that you should be interested in. And there are also these works like The Wake, which is a Castleberg poem which has been painted by McCann, and it's designed as a room installation, and the poem and other poems were read with those works.
The Hocken exhibition ties in with another McCann exhibition at the Dunedin Public Art Gallery, and Notman says lovers of McCann's works can also stroll to the University of Otago to admire a McCann mural on permanent display at the Central Library.
So people could either start here or at the gallery and then go, and visit the University of Otago Library mural on their way.
The Hocken's Colin McCann exhibition is set to run until March next year. In Dunedin, the South Today.
And you can read more about the exhibition in tomorrow's ODT Arts feature. Police have named the man who was killed in a workplace accident in a Waitari forestry block on Monday. He was 34-year-old Dunedin man Simon Patrick Sloper. Inquiries are ongoing into the circumstances of the incident. Emergency services were called to Clark Road, Waitati, about 11:30 a.m, and police later confirmed the incident involved a digger. Police confirmed yesterday the man was working by himself, using the digger to clear a boundary line. The University of Otago research team has been looking at the impact of pesticide runoff from farmland into nearby waterways. Having uncovered some alarming evidence regarding poisons in our streams and rivers, they want the public to be more informed on the issue.
This team of researchers at the University of Otago are studying the environmental impacts of pesticides on New Zealand's streams and rivers. The challenge for Professor Christoph Mathai's team is that an influx of poisonous pesticides is sometimes hard to detect.
So say if you take a water sample, then even if there has been a pesticide pulse going through the day before, you will not pick that up in the water sample the next day.
So instead, they're measuring the impact of pesticides by the absence of aquatic creepy crawlies. For instance, if mayflies are in unusually low numbers in a stream, it suggests there's been environmental damage by pesticide runoff from nearby farms.
If you take a macroinvertebrate sample from the stream, it will tell you something of whether that stream has been polluted or clean over the past several months, or maybe even a year or two, because some of them, like stoneflies, are really long-lived, those organisms, and that's because the organisms, the invertebrates, they integrate over that entire period. And if there has been, say, a pesticide pulse a month ago or so, then the sensitive invertebrates will be wiped out, and you will pick that up.
2.5 years ago, Mathai's team sampled 36 streams flowing through agricultural land in Otago, Southland, Canterbury and Waikato. Using state-of-the-art samplers, they looked for the 7 main types of pesticide and were alarmed at the results.
And we did go and did do the first survey of streams in New Zealand, sort of more or less nationwide, for pesticides, and we found that those pesticides are definitely there in New Zealand. Like, we looked for 7 pesticides, and we found all 7 pesticides, and at some sites we found up to 6 or 7 of them at a single site. So
Wow.
they're definitely there in New Zealand.
And while pesticide getting into waterways is not specifically addressed in recent government legislation, Mathai remains optimistic that as time goes on, the public will become more aware of the harm of pesticides in New Zealand rivers. In Dunedin, the South Today.
Still to come on the South Today. African drumming, singing and dance is to be taught in a series of workshops in Dunedin next month. And we hear the latest in our political series, You Choose 2020.
A poorly maintained heat pump can lose up to 35% of its output. The Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner team are experts. Their specially developed chemical wash is totally biodegradable. Call Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner and get the job done by the professionals.
Risk of developing melanoma skin cancer, you owe it to yourself to have a mole map. Mole map is coming to your area. Phone today to make an appointment. It could save your life.
Garrador Dunedin, delivering quality stylish garage doors in Dunedin for over 17 years. New doors, replacement doors and maintenance are all part of Garrador's quality service. Garrador Dunedin offers a full range of modern quality doors to suit any home. Come visit the team.
Wrens are Otago's painting, tiling and plastering experts. Offering a free measure and quote, Wrens is a name you can trust to get the job done right. Call Wrens today on 477 9384 or visit wrens.co.nz.
Do you know Youth Grow in North East Valley? It's an awesome plant nursery where young people can work and learn life skills. You can now order your vegetable seedlings, herbs, bulbs and shrubs over the phone or by email. Either pick up your order on Norwood Street in North East Valley or they can deliver to you. Look for Youth Grow Garden Centre on Facebook or visit youthgrow.org.nz. Happy gardening!
Every reason, every season, we're proud to dress the region. Alex Campbell Menswear, it fits!
Heaven Sent Pet Cremations knows that losing a pet is like losing a family member, and we have many special ways for you to keep their memory dear to your heart. From caskets, remembrance pendants to remembrance spheres. Call Heaven Sent Pet Cremations today.
You've seen us in the street, now find us online. Check out shopon.org.nz. We have all sorts of treasures, from retro and vintage clothing to antiques, homewares and accessories. New items added every week. We're open 24/7.
Welcome back. Dunedin City Councillors are set to consider what to do with Dunedin Railways and its assets in October. 15 expressions of interest in the future operation of the tourist train company or purchase of its assets have already been lodged. The options are now being evaluated and a report is to be presented to the Council by the end of October. The Council put the company into hibernation in July. Before the COVID-19 pandemic, the company was forecasting ongoing losses of about $500,000 a year. Ideally, the council is seeking a new operating model for the railway that keeps trains operating in the city and creates local employment. African drumming, singing and dance is to be taught in a series of workshops in Dunedin next month. The classes are being taught by a Dunedin local who grew up in the West African country of Ghana.
Dunedin resident Kofi Fuga is introducing a bit of West African culture to New Zealand audiences. Fuga grew up in Ghana and moved to New Zealand in 2013, and he's been expressing his culture through dance, drumming and performance ever since.
I share my culture, which is, I would say West Africa, but I come from Ghana. I share with people of New Zealand. I travel around, teaching this all over New Zealand pretty much, but I live in Dunedin, so I want to share this more with the people of Dunedin where I live.
Music and dance were part of Fuga's daily life growing up, and he's now hoping to introduce it to people's lives across New Zealand, using instruments such as the djembe drum.
The drumming is there to bring people together. And the meaning of one of the drums from West Africa called djembe is to gather people together. That's the meaning of the drum called djembe, to gather people together. So drumming brings people together. So that's what I do, basically, yeah.
Fuga's organised a weekend of workshop performances in dancing, drumming and song to be held at Otago Girls High School early next month, with everyone welcome to attend.
Please come, bring yourself, your friends, families, come and let's have fun. Come and learn something from West Africa. Come and sing if you're into singing. Come and drum if you're into drumming. And come and dance if you're into dancing. But if you do all the three, advantage. Come and let know.
Fuga's workshops are set to be held in the first weekend of September. In Dunedin, the South today.
When New Zealanders go to the polls in October, they'll have plenty of decisions to make. Over the last week, we've brought you instalments from Channel 39's community-produced You Choose 2020 series, so you can be better informed on both local and national political discussions. In this instalment, we ask local party representatives if their thoughts differ from their electorates.
I would say so. I mean, there's a range. I mean, since I talked to you the other day, I've been asking a few people what they think, and there's a range of different views from they think it's legalising it or decriminalising it's a bad thing to the opposite. So I think, you know, it comes back to a personal decision, and it's hard to get a gauge on what most people think.
It's hard to tell, but I've done a lot of door knocking, and it appears to me that the electorate is generally supportive of the referendum and voting yes.
Many people I have spoken to in the electorate support decriminalisation. Now, whether that's because I'm quite open with my views, I'm not sure. I'm very clear to say that it's a conscience vote. I think the ethos in our electorate is that it is a victimless crime, that people should be able to be trusted to make decisions that influence them.
I think there's a broad range of views. I think so far I've come across people both for and against. I think what is worrying people a lot though is the mental health concerns that do come with marijuana use and other implications on the health system which people are concerned about rightly.
Possibly, but I mean, I really don't know. That's the thing about a referendum. We New Zealand First are big supporters of referendum for just this reason. We think it's not the opinion of 120 temporally empowered politicians. It's actually something like this should go to the people for their common wisdom.
And we'll bring you the next instalment of You Choose 2020 in tomorrow night's bulletin, or alternatively you can watch the full episode at odt.co.nz. Still to come on the South today, a popular Ymity Motorsport event is cancelled due to COVID-19, and we check out tomorrow's weather.
Garrador Dunedin, delivering quality, stylish garage doors in Dunedin for over 17 years. New doors, replacement doors and maintenance are all part of Garrador's quality service. Garrador Dunedin offers a full range of modern quality doors to suit any home. Come visit the team.
Do you know Youth Grow in Northeast Valley? It's an awesome plant nursery where young people can work and learn life skills. You can now order your vegetable seedlings, herbs, bulbs and shrubs over the phone or by email. Either pick up your order on Norwood Street in Northeast Valley or they can deliver to you. Look for Youth Grow Garden Centre on Facebook or visit youthgrow.org.nz. Happy gardening!
come on, mate. The blue doesn't go with the brown.
Wrens are Otago's painting, tiling and plastering experts, offering a free measure and quote. Wrens is a name you can trust to get the job done right. Call Wrens today on 477 9384 or visit wrens.co.nz.
A poorly maintained heat pump can lose up to 35% of its output. The Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner team are experts. Their specially developed chemical wash is totally biodegradable. Call Mr. Heat Pump Cleaner and get the job done by the professionals.
If you're at risk of developing melanoma skin cancer, you owe it to yourself to have a mole map. Mole map is coming to your area. Phone today to make an appointment. It could save your life.
Step into Shop on Carroll and discover a shop full of treasures. We have a fantastic range of vintage and retro clothes, upmarket clothing labels, collectible items, beautiful jewellery, quality linen and the best range of vintage haberdashery.
Heaven Sent Pet Cremations knows that losing a pet is like losing a family member, and we have many special ways for you to keep their memory dear to your heart. From caskets, remembrance pendants to remembrance fairs. Call Heaven Sent Pet Cremations today.
TV, our favourite babysitter. But it can be tough keeping up with what our tamariki are watching. Luckily, the Broadcasting Standards Authority has made some smart changes to the classification labels. Ooh! Plus changes to the time of day certain rated shows will air and awesome new parental lock features, meaning your babysitter's job is safe. Find out more at safeviewing.co.nz.
Inside are all sorts of innovations from all over China.
Welcome back. The popular Ymity 50 Motorsport event has been cancelled for this year. The cancellation is predicted to put a $1 million hole in the region's economy. The popular event, which takes place on the streets of Ymity over Labour weekend, had its 60th anniversary last year, but will not take place this year. Event organiser Rob Aikman says there's too much risk to hold the event given the situation caused by COVID-19. He says the event is expensive to run, and if crowds are banned or limited, the event will face a big loss. But he also says it will be hard to come back after this year's cancellation. And now recapping tonight's top stories on the South Today. It's now compulsory to display QR codes in shops and meeting places throughout the country, but access to the signs is an issue. Two significant collections of work by New Zealand painter Colin McCann are to be displayed at Dunedin's Hocken Library. And researchers are discovering just how big the problem of pesticide runoff is in southern streams. And time now for a look at what's happening in tomorrow's ODT. Welcome, Hayden.
Good evening, Sophie. How are you?
Good evening. Very good. Yourself?
Excellent, excellent. Good. Should be plenty of good stuff in the paper tomorrow by the looks of it. Dunedin Hospital, obviously the new hospital rebuild, gathering apace in a momentous week, really. The final little parcel of land that has been required has been bought for $75 million, I think is the princely sum. That's the total land, I think. All land has now been acquired. And crucially, the business plan for the rebuild goes to Cabinet on Monday. So that's the biggie, really, a huge step in the process, the government signing off, and we're all good to go. It's going to be an interesting few years. So. But in less positive news, some financial numbers out today, the Infometrics report into the June quarter, understandably dominated by COVID-19, and as a result it's been a huge hit. The quote was the largest single hit to New Zealand's economy on record, and lo and behold, Otago was the hardest economically hit region. I guess no surprise when you consider Queenstown at the heart of that and the effect that the lockdown and restrictions have had on Queenstown. So some interesting numbers in there.
Right. And
here's another interesting number, 150. We spoke today to a bloke who owns 150 greyhounds. Big day for the greyhound racing industry. They were back at Forbury Park in Dunedin for the first time since pre-lockdown, I think. And I think he won 5 or 6 of the 10 races, which is probably no surprise when you've got that many dogs running around. And an interesting yarn out of Queenstown. So Queenstown trying to get proactive, I guess, about bringing things to town. They've proposed hosting the visiting teams during the Rugby Championship, if indeed it does get off the ground, and the Springboks, the Wallabies and the Pumas from Argentina come to New Zealand. They're putting forward quite a bold proposal to say, hey, come here, stay here for the duration of the tournament, serve your quarantine here. Interesting. I'm not sure whether that's pie in the sky or whether that's something New Zealand Rugby would consider, but it could be very interesting. And in sport, we've yarn with Sam Timmins, Slammin' Sammy Timmins, a lovely young bloke, an Otago product through and through, just about his time in college basketball in the United States and what he's got coming up. He's a great young bloke, Sam, and the sky is the limit, and he is just about in the sky, to be honest. He's a very, very tall young man. So all that and all sorts of other interesting bits and pieces, I'm sure.
Wonderful, thank you, Hayden. And time now for a look at tomorrow's weather.
Night's weather proudly brought to you by Mole Map.
Starting with the southern view, one of the many Dunedin shops now displaying a COVID-19 QR code. Looking at the situation, cooler weather from tomorrow as low pressure systems roll in from the Tasman Sea. Starting off at the northwest of the South Island, Greymouth and Westport can expect rain with 15 degrees in Greymouth and 13 in Westport. Across to the northeast, Nelson and Blenheim can expect rain with 16 degrees in Blenheim and 14 in Nelson. Moving to Canterbury, mostly cloudy in Christchurch and Ashburton, while Kaikoura can expect scattered showers. 13 for Kaikoura, 14 for Christchurch and 16 in Ashburton. To the southern towns, the Catlins, Balclutha, Lumsden and Gore can expect light westerlies and some clouds, 12 degrees in Lumsden and Gore and 11 in the Catlins and Balclutha. In central, Queenstown, Wanaka, Alexandra and Te Anau can expect light winds and some clouds, 13 degrees in Alexandra, 11 in Queenstown, Wanaka and Te Anau. To the northern towns, all areas can expect light winds and some clouds, 13 degrees in Timaru and Oamaru and 12 degrees inland in Omarama and Twizel. In Dunedin, cloudy tonight with an overnight low of 6. Rather cold tomorrow with mostly cloudy skies, some sunny periods around the middle of the day and light southerly quarter winds, a high of 12 and a low of 7. Overcast and cold on Friday with light winds, a high of 10 and a low of 7. And in Invercargill, fine and cold tonight with a low of 3 degrees. Fine tomorrow and Friday with sunny periods and some cloud with light westerly winds. Thursday can expect a high of 13 and a low of 2. And Friday a high of 13 and a low of 5. That's all for our news this Wednesday. For the latest news from the southern region, head online to ondt.co.nz or follow Channel 39 on Facebook and YouTube. Thanks for joining us. Ka kite anō.
This bulletin proudly brought to you in association with Alex Campbell's Menswear.
Supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.